Hello students, welcome to my classroom. Now we are going to learn a new lesson, that is organization of tissues. What are the learning objectives of this lesson? What are we going to learn actually in this lesson? We will learn about the different types of tissues and their morphology. And we will identify how tissues are organized in specific patterns to form the organs. We will also understand how tissues perform the life activities in plants and animals. We will gain knowledge about the structural organization of tissues. And we will also get familiarized with the process, types and significance of cell division. Now let us get into the lesson. All the living organisms of this biosphere are broadly classified into unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are made up of single cell. Example for unicellular organism is bacteria and protozoans. Whereas multicellular organisms are made up of many cells. So all the plants and animals come under this category. And here in this plants and animals, the body of the organisms are organized at different levels. We can see different levels of organization in the plant and the animal body. So accordingly they are again classified. So multicellular organisms have specialized cells, and these cells will combine to form the tissues, and tissues will combine to form the organs, and organs to the organ systems. So they will perform a specific function for the organism. Here in this lesson we are going to deal about the different types of tissues. So what is a tissue? The group of cells positioned and designed to perform a particular function is called a tissue. I repeat, group of cells positioned and designed to perform a particular function is called tissue. So group of tissue will make the organ. So up to this level we can see in the plant body. Example, plant root. So plant root is the organ which contains two types of tissue. Example, xylem and phloem. It also possesses other tissues, other types of tissues. So group of tissues combine to form the organ. In the animal, one example, stomach is an organ and which will have different types of tissues like epithelial tissue, gland cells and muscle cells, etc. We shall learn about the plant tissues first. Plants are made up of vegetative and reproductive tissues. These plant tissues are classified into two types. They are meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. What are meristematic tissues? Meristem. This has come from a Greek word meristos, which means divisible. This will have the cells which will be actively dividing to produce many new cells, or we can say they have the capacity of cell division. Meristematic tissues are group of immature cells. They will not mature. They are immature cells which is having the capacity of dividing continuously, or they have the capacity of undergoing cell division. In plants, meristems are found in the zones where growth takes place. Example, apex of the stem, root, leaf primordia, that means from the place from where the leaves will be developing. Vascular cambium and cork cambium, they are present in the stem, which will help in the increase in the width of the trunk or the stem of the plant. Now characteristic features of meristem. So what are the characteristic features of meristematic cells? These cells are living cells. They are not dead cells, they are living cells because they are capable of dividing continuously. And these cells are small in size. They will be oval, polygonal or round in shape. and they will have very thin wall with dense cytoplasm and large nucleus. Vacuoles will be smaller. They undergo mitotic division. They do not store food material. So these are the characteristic features of meristematic cells. They will not store any food material because they are always at the state of dividing, and they will undergo cell division. Now, what are the types of meristematic cells? The meristematic tissue can be divided based on the position into the following three types. They are: first one, apical meristem; second, intercalary meristem; and third one, lateral meristem. So what is apical meristem? Apical meristem is present in the tip of the stem or the root, and they are found at the apices or the growing points of the root or shoot, and they bring about the increase in the length of the plant body. The second one is the intercalary meristem. It lies between the region of the permanent tissues, and it becomes a part of the primary meristem. It is either found at the base of the leaf, like in the tree Pinus, or at the base of the internodes. You know what are internodes? The distance between the two consecutive nodes is called as internode. So it is present at the base of the internodes, as in the case of grasses. The next one is the lateral meristem. These meristems are arranged parallel to each other, and it causes the thickness of the plant body. Now the functions of meristem. Meristems are responsible for primary elongation of the plant body and secondary thickening, that is the increase in the width of the trunk of the plant. Now let us move on to the permanent tissues. What are permanent tissues? Permanent tissues are those in which the growth has stopped either completely or for time being or for short time. These permanent tissues are of two types. They are simple tissues and complex tissues. What are simple tissues? Simple tissues are homogeneous tissues. Homogeneous means they are composed of the cells which are structurally as well as functionally similar. Example for this: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. First one, parenchyma. So parenchyma cells are simple permanent tissue, and they are living cells, and their wall will be thin. They will be oval or rounded, polygonal in shape. In the aquatic plants, if they possess the intercellular space like this, air spaces, they are called as aerenchyma. When the parenchyma cells are exposed to the sunlight, they will develop the chloroplast and chlorophyll in them, and they become chlorenchyma. And the xerophytic plants will have the parenchyma in which the water is stored, and they become succulent. And these parenchyma cells also serve the purpose of storage of food, absorption, buoyancy and secretion, etc. So they will store food. The excess food which is prepared by the plant will be stored in these parenchymatic cells, and they help in the absorption of the water minerals, as well as they help in the buoyancy, means the plant will be floating by accommodating air spaces in the parenchyma cells, by which the plant will become lightweighted and they can float in the water. This happens in the aquatic plants, and they secrete the enzymes and the hormones for the metabolic activities of the plant. And next type of tissue is collenchyma, and this is a living tissue which is found beneath the epidermis. The outermost is epidermis. Inner to that epidermis we will have the collenchyma tissue, and here the cells are elongated with unevenly thickened walls, and these thick walls will not be lignified. They are non-lignified walls, and the cells will be rectangular in shape or oblique or with tapering ends. They will have persistent protoplasm. That means the protoplasm or the living substance will be persistent, always present in the cells, and they provide mechanical support for the growing organs. The next is sclerenchyma. It consists of thick lignified walls, and they are dead cells. There will not be any protoplasm or the living substance inside. Only the wall will be lignified, and they are very strong, giving the mechanical support for the plant part. And the sclerenchyma cells can be grouped into fibers and sclerites. The two types of sclerenchyma cells are fibers and sclerites. Fibers are the elongated cells. They are usually with the pointed ends, and their walls are lignified. The average length of the fiber is 1 to 3 millimeter, but in the plants like flax, hemp and jute, they are the fiber yielding plant. The fibers will be longer, ranging from 20 mm to 550 millimeter. The next one is the sclerids. Sclerids are the broad and they may occur either in single or in groups. The sclerids are isodiametric and with lignified walls. Isodiametric means at any plane if you measure the diameter it will be same. So they are isodiametric with lignified walls, and pits are prominent and they are seen on the cell wall. Next is the complex tissue. Complex tissues are made up of more than one type of cells, but they work together as single unit. So in the previous simple tissue we have seen there are three types of simple tissue. They are parenchyma, sclerenchyma and collenchyma. Here these parenchyma, sclerenchyma will be working together, will be present as one unit and perform a single function. Anyhow, the collenchymatous cells will be absent, they will not be present in the complex tissue. The complex tissues are classified into xylem and phloem. Xylem are the conducting tissue which conduct the water and mineral salts upward from the roots to the leaves. So xylem only will conduct the water and minerals from the soil through the root to for the plant. The xylem gives the mechanical support for the plant body, and it is composed of the four components. They are xylem tracheids, xylem fibers, xylem vessels and xylem parenchyma. So first we shall see the xylem tracheids. What are they? So they are elongated and tube-like cells, and they are dead cells with hard, thick, lignified walls, and their ends may be tapering in some, and they may be blunt or chisel shape, devoid of any protoplast. So chisel shape means woolly madri, and devoid of protoplast. They will not be, they are dead cells. Since they are dead cells, they will not have the living substance which is called the protoplast, and they have the large lumen. Lumen means cavity inside the cell without any content, and their function is to conduct the water, providing the mechanical support to the plant. Xylem fibers are elongated, lignified and pointed at both the ends, and these xylem fibers will provide the mechanical support to the plant. So next we have the xylem vessels. These are long cylindrical, tube-like with lignified walls and wide lumen, and these cells are dead and they will not have any protoplast, and they are arranged longitudinally, which will be separated by partitioned wall or transverse wall, and these walls are perforated like this, and so the entire structure will look like a water pipe. Their function is to transport water and to give the mechanical support for the plant. Next we have the xylem parenchyma. These are the living cells which will have the thin wall in their cells, and their main function is to store starch and fatty substances. The second type of permanent complex tissue is phloem. So phloem is complex tissue, and it consists of the following components. They are sieve elements, companion cells, phloem fibers and phloem parenchyma. The first one is sieve elements, and they are conducting elements of the phloem. They will conduct the food for the plant. They will conduct the food from the leaves to the storage organs and to other parts of the plant body. The sieve tubes are elongated and they are tube-like slender cells placed end to end. So here you can locate the sieve tubes which will be placed end to end. In between you will have the perforated plate which are called as sieve plates. These transverse walls at the ends of the sieve tube is the sieve plates which are perforated. Their function is to translocate the food from the leaves to the storage organs. The next component of the phloem is the companion cells, and they are also attached to the lateral walls of the sieve tubes. These are the companion cells. These companion cells may be of equal length of the sieve tubes, and sometimes they will develop, the mother cell may be dividing transversely to form a series of companion cells. The next component of the phloem is phloem parenchyma, and these are living cells which will have the cytoplasm and the nucleus, and their function is to store food material as in the case of xylem parenchyma. And the next component is the phloem fibers. Sclerenchymatous cells associated with the primary and the secondary phloem are commonly called as phloem fibers. Sclerenchymatous cells are normally dead cells, and when they are associated with the primary and the secondary phloem, they are called as phloem fibers. And these cells are elongated and they are lignified, and they provide the mechanical strength for the plant body. Now let us learn the differences between xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem both are permanent complex tissue. So xylem conducts water and minerals for the plant, whereas the phloem conducts the food material or the organic solutes. So xylem conduction is mostly unidirectional. that is from the roots to the apical part of the plant, whereas conduction of the phloem is bidirectional, conduct the food from the leaves to the storage organs and also to the growing parts, and they also conduct the food from the storage organs to the growing parts of the plants. So leaves to the storage organ and also from the storage organ to the growing parts of the plant. Conducting channels are tracheids and vessels in the case of xylem, whereas the conducting channels are sieve tubes. The components of the xylem include tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers, whereas the components of the phloem include sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Now let us learn the differences between the meristematic and permanent tissue. So meristematic and permanent tissue both are the types of plant tissue. Plant tissue is broadly classified into meristematic and permanent tissue. In the meristematic tissue, the cell wall is thin and elastic, whereas in the permanent tissue it is thick. In the meristematic tissue, the component cells are small, spherical and polygonal, and it is undifferentiated. They will not be differentiated into a particular type of cells, whereas in the case of permanent tissue the cells are large and differentiated with different shapes. The cytoplasm in the meristematic cells will be dense and the vacuoles will be nearly absent, whereas in the case of permanent tissue there will be large central vacuole and the intercellular space here in the meristematic cells will be absent. They are closely packed, whereas in the permanent tissue intercellular spaces will be present. The meristematic tissue will have large and a prominent nucleus, whereas the nucleus in the permanent tissue will be small and less conspicuous. And here the cells grow and divide regularly. In the permanent tissue, cells do not divide. Meristematic tissue provides mechanical support and elasticity to the body, whereas the permanent tissue provides only the mechanical support. Now let us recall the portion with the concept map. So we are learning about the plant tissue in this unit, and the plant tissue is broadly classified into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue in turn, according to the position of the tissue in the plant body, they are classified into apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. And the permanent tissue, based on the structure, they are classified into simple and complex. The simple tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And sclerenchyma consists of two components like fibers and sclerates. They are dead cells, whereas these two cells are living cells. Whereas complex tissue, it is divided into xylem. It consists of xylem and phloem. And xylem components of tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers, whereas the phloem components are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers.